Blurp Blurp Book Clubbers, welcome to the Dungeon Crawler Carl Book Club. The apocalypse will be streamed. 3, 2, 1, here is where it starts. Welcome to Dungeon Crawler Carl Book Club. We are on Book 2, Doomsday Scenario, and tonight we're talking about chapters 10 through 19. I have guests Peter and Brett, but here's what happened in case you didn't reread everything like a maniac and, do annotations. Here's what happened in chapters 10 through 19. We're trying to stay away from spoilers, although a little are going to come up, but we're trying to stay away. But in chapters 10 through 19, here's basically what happened. Chapter 10 is when Carl goes into the big top circus with the Grimaldi and Signet storylines, but Donna is incapacitated. So she's already been incapacitated, and Carl goes into the big top and goes into the tent, and all these memories come back about going to circuses. He meets a clown that has a wormy ice cream, because we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then he meets Grimaldi and works on that storyline. In chapter 11, he suggests a deal with Signet and with the storyline of Signet to be featured on their next level. So that would be on floor 6. And so that's how he's able to sort of get out of that situation. In chapter 12, he finishes that, rushes back to Donut, who has been being looked after by Mongo in a very, very sweet way. And then he thinks about, he has all these memories. One of the memories I want to talk about tonight is he has this memory of Bee talking to her mom about getting rid of Donut, but also Bee saying that she really does love Carl. In chapter 13, there's nothing that really happens. They go into a safe room, they open a bunch of stuff. In chapter 14, they meet Gum Gum, and Mordecai tells Gum Gum to fuck off, that we can't save them all. We don't want to do these quests, all of the quests. But they also see Florin and Miriam and Pony on the recap for the first time, although they don't know everybody's names yet. In chapter 15, they go into the Desperado Club for the first time. And this is where the very famous line that's all over TikTok, the cats don't shoot lasers out of their eyes, either Carl, Mama needs a night off. That's where this happens, is book 2, chapter 15. And they meet Quint, the pharmacist. In chapter 16, they meet one of the Pestule, one of the skill people in the Desperado Club who helps sell all of the bombs and everything. And she has a couple of really great lines. And then they run into an alley, even though Mordecai specifically told them to stay out, to not go out at night and to not go into alleys. They go into an alley and get into a fight with the Crasso, the flying vampire heads, and Carl gets completely knocked out. In chapter 17, they, I cannot read my writing. Carl gets a Chistera, and they find out that Gum Gum has died, and they start to go up into, to actually do that quest line to discover that. Chapter 18, they meet Miss Quill in the Skyfowl Kingdom. And in chapter 9, they are on Ripper Wonton's danger zone and meet everybody there, including Hecla. And Hecla asks them for a favor, but that will be next time. So that's what we're talking about. I do have a few discussion things, but first, Peter and Brett. Peter, since you've been on before, how about you introduce yourself first, do a full introduction, and also how did you get into Dungeon Crawler Carl?
Oh, okay. Okay, well, my name is Peter, and you can find me under Peter Wetzel Reads, and I'm an avid book lover. That's pretty much all I can say about myself as far as books go. I just read them all day long at work, and I read them all day long at work. It still counts. It absolutely counts. I think I've been on Book Talk now for 6 months, and how I got into hey, thanks. That made my forehead look smaller for a second. How I got into Dungeon Crawler Carl, I think it might have been one of Sam's videos. It's so long ago, and it was before I knew who Sam Boyd was. But it was somebody who was really into Dungeon Crawler Carl, of course, like you are when you read it. And she was doing a video about all the different covers and showing Princess Donut on the cover. She's only not on one of the covers, actually. Out of all 7 books, she's only not on one of the covers. But she was talking all about Princess Donut, and it was her conversation about Princess Donut that made me go, okay, there's a cat named Princess Donut, and she shoots lasers out of her eyes, and she rides on the back of a velociraptor. I have got to read this book now. I had already heard about it just in the wind, and I thought, what a cool title. But knowing that there was a cat named Princess Donut was what finally sold me.
So Sam Boyd got you into it.
I think it was one of her videos.
That's fantastic.
Verify that. But in my recollection, I think it might have been Sam. Yeah.
That's fantastic. All right, Brett, introduce yourself and how'd you get into DCC?
Well, I'm Brett. I'm on TikTok as Brett Reads Books, but also my screen name is Dungeon Crawler Brett. Found the book late last year when I decided to get back into reading, and read books 1 and 2 in January. Joined Book Talk around May-ish, I guess, as an outlet to discuss books, which has led me to reading a lot more and more and more. And so, yeah, I finally caught up with the series whenever book 7 came out. When was that? August?
So which one? Book 7, the original, like the actual paperback, came out last November. So more than a year ago.
I stayed away from it.
And then the audio came out in February, and then the hardcover came out in December.
I was a hardcover guy, so I stayed away until the hardcover was released. I know I could have gotten it on Kindle. And
so you read, so that's going to be good. So you read them.
Yes.
And Peter and I listen.
I listened this time around to get ready for this, but I originally read them all. I did not listen.
Okay. All right. That's going to be interesting, though. I think I wonder if there's going to be any differences. I'm with this. I am like going through and doing a little bit of immersive, like every now and then I'll read and be following along in print as well. But for the most part, I only read. And there are things that are stressed differently, emphasized differently. I really think that the audio does give a slightly different.
This time around, I caught more than I did because, again, I read this back in January. So listening again this time around, I think I caught more and I retained more this time around. So
I think that I know that book 1, I think it was my 6th or 7th time listening to it, but that also includes because I had done the sound booth theater, like their immersive tunnel, like those types of things like that count, which chapters 1 through 5 of this one just came out this week of the sound booth theater immersive tunnel, but it's only chapters 1 through 5. And then the rest don't come out until January or February. They set a date and then they'll be weekly after. So like I know when they first did book 1, I waited until they were all out to listen because like this whole waiting a month in between chapters, like I couldn't do that, but that did come out. So I think this is my 4th time with book 2, 4th or 5th, but I'm paying more attention every single time with these books. I notice something else. I know every single time, especially because so much links to things that are to come, that are in the future. So the first time through, there's no way that it would mean the same to you.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
So
there was so much in this that I forgot happened in this book, and I was like, oh, daggum, there's that plays in the future. So,
and I just learned last time that I was on this book talk that Matt doesn't have a clue what's going to happen in the future. No clue. But it does feel like it does. The way he writes, it feels like he always knew.
There is actually within these chapters a quote that I wrote down that I think basically was Matt telling us how he writes. It's when he tells Zev, put them on, like patch them through. I want to try to make a deal with Signet's the story runners of Signet Storyline. He's like, patch them through. I know what I'm doing. And Zev says, do you know what you're doing? And he says, fuck no. But which I think is perfect. But like, he still has a confidence. He's still saying, come on, do it. And do you? Nope, no clue. But you know what? So what? He's still going to do it. So I thought that was a very autobiographical
definitely.
line. Who's stolen things? I love that. We need a B-Day party. Oh, hey, next, my birthday's in January. So one of these is actually, like on my birthday, I think. I know. But, once you get old, birthdays aren't nearly as meaningful
I'm ancient, so
I'm getting closer and closer to a number that is really scary to get close to. So. Yeah, I'm on the wrong side of 40. So.
I'm getting there at all.
Oh yeah, no, I'm on the side of 40 that's closer to the bad side than the 40s side.
Oh, I would have thought you were talking about becoming 40.
No.
I would have thought so too.
No, I am closer to 50 than I am to 40.
Well,
so yeah, that's the birthday coming up. That's not 50, but the closer to. So that one's not fun. But let's talk about these chapters. So the first thing that I had down for our discussion is Matt started as a horror writer, and he still really thinks of himself as a horror writer. And I feel like this chapter, especially the stuff with the circus, really show more of that horror side of him. That there was just a lot that was just, it was gross. Like the ice cream cone with the worms. Just that I really feel like a lot of his horror writing came out. I want to know if you felt that too, if you've seen that, if you have other examples. Yeah, just like that, because it started with Carl being like, "Oh God, clowns! I hate clowns."
Me too.
So yeah. Exactly.
I don't mess with clowns. I go the opposite direction of the clowns. So
yeah, that's what was my feeling was I'm seeing some of this horror type. The influence, and I want to know if anybody else felt that or saw that or have examples.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love clowns, but only as a horror icon, not as a ha-ha funny. I mean, it's one of my favorite books, movies, TV series ever. So I'm all for scary clowns. Yeah, but I did feel that in this section. Actually, it's funny. I mean, it wasn't. The circus, of course, is very horrific, but then I'm not going to jump forward. But later stuff that happens in the chapters that we're going to discuss, I thought even more demonstrated the gore, the level of gore, and just horrific things that Matt Dinniman has the ability to describe. Because as funny as this book is, when he describes things like the head things with the with the
intestines and all of their organs,
and the shambling berserkers and stuff like that, and then what happens when you fight one of those, and it's just like, oh wow, that is really gross, like pukey graphic. So yeah, I definitely got that feel from these chapters.
Yeah, he said something at Lit RPG Con, actually on a humor panel, and they're just talking about, well, how do you work humor in, because these books are legitimately funny. Yeah. And his thing is, he's like, well, I don't actually, what he said anyway, I don't really try to write funny. It's just, but then he's also says that he writes things in the things that are horror, like Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon, that is much more gory, that is much more horror based. He's like, I wrote things in there that I thought were hilarious, but nobody could see past the horror to see the things that were funny. So I almost think that that horror side comes out every now and then. And I feel like in these chapters with these clowns and that tent, and then those creatures, the Krasow, and then what happens after when Donut is just completely covered in blood and gore. Carl wakes up, he's been knocked out, and she's just so disgusting. He says that she looks like an extra crispy fried chicken, which again, just like putting a food thing with something that gory is very horror.
Yeah.
So like, I didn't want to think about fried chicken and thinking about all of that gore and donut
or ice cream and worms. But
yeah,
that's funny that you said that, because I feel like it's the opposite with Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's so funny that I have to remind myself how horrific it really is, and just how terrible, like just the PTSD you would have from facing these situations and going, and just the constant horrifying reality that you're living in this game that everybody else is entertained by.
Which actually, let's skip to that too, because then when they're on Ripper Wonton, that comes up again when Manasa gets killed.
Yeah.
The singer, and everybody is just heartbroken. They're like, she was my friend, and Carl loses his shit. He's like, Now it's meaningful to you. My entire planet was destroyed, but when it's your friend, you care, but you didn't care when it was all of us, when it was billions of us, but you cared when it was your friend.
It's amazing how philosophical he gets at times. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, you know, that isn't far from reality, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
something.
I was just thinking that. I mean, not to get too political, but I mean, people die every day. There are school shootings all the time, but then Charlie Kirk gets shot. And, you know,
Exactly. Somebody that
different
has
groups care
meaning
about
to you,
different
right?
things. And,
Right.
and it matters so much more. I mean, there are also horrors happening all over the world, and yet 9/11 happened, and suddenly the U.S. was like, "Oh my God, this is such a
Right.
tragedy." And that kind of thing happens every day.
It does.
You know? And it just when it hits closer to home, we just care more. We have selective compassion.
Yeah. And that's a little bit of human nature. It's hard to be compassionate about everything when there's so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it is hard. It's hard when it's just numbers, when it's, you know, millions of people are suffering, but your friend is suffering.
Yeah.
And it's natural, and then there's some hypocrisy involved there too. But yeah, it really is. We couldn't survive if we were constantly grieving over every single tragedy that happens in the world. But in this situation with the game, there's definitely a lot of hypocrisy at play.
Yeah. Yeah. Across the universe with all of these worlds. And I think most of the universe is just conditioned to all of these worlds being seeded and being throwaway. Those people don't really matter worlds.
And what I think is interesting about Manasseh, is that her name too?
Manasseh? Yeah, I think it's Manasseh.
Yeah. Is interesting is that it highlights the fact that there's more grief when a tragedy happens that loses you money.
Yeah.
Than the grief they feel over the game, which is making them money. You know,
very true.
And that's very on par for a capitalist society.
Which also came up when in book 1 when Carl was on with Prince Stalwart, and he was like, "Wait a minute, I have something they don't have. I'm expensive," and he plays that capitalistic game to his own advantage. He knows that there's going to be limits as to what Prince Stalwart can do with him because he figured out that he and Donut were very, very expensive. And so capitalists didn't want to ruin their money bags. Mm-hmm. Any other thing? And from the chat too, definitely chime in here, but any other examples of this horror writing coming through, things that those are just 2 scenes that tent and then describing Donut in food terms with gore that really did feel like they came across as very horror, but I want to hear from the chat as well. The next thing that I had is I want to talk about B. I want to talk about Beatrice, and I'm going to get controversial, I think, with this one. But like, I have a couple, before I go into this, I have a couple of things that I want to talk about. My gosh, please. I want to hear what you guys think too. So feel free to throw out your own things. But these chapters are the first time we've seen anything at all that's okay and humanizes B. We see her talk to her mom in this flashback that Carl has, and her mom is disparaging Carl and saying, "Well, I really wish he was a doctor or a lawyer. You know, you have to make sure that they're just a little bit dumb, that they love you more." You know, like her mom's trying to give her this really bad advice. And B says, "But Mom, you know what? I really do love him. He's not complicated. He doesn't want to fight. And I really love him. I know I mess up." This is what she says. "I know I screw up all the time, but I really, really do love him." And it's the first time we've seen anything at all okay about B. Because up until now, she's just been pure villain. She's been disgusting. And in books to come, we see more of the villainy. But it's so... like, it just gives this really bad girlfriend trope that I really don't like. I don't like how negative Matt Dittman has written B. And that she just comes across as being, she's just this cheating girlfriend. Well, you know, that they're all talking and they're all, you know, doing all these things behind their back. And they're just, like, they had only been broken up for a couple days, right? Like, they lived together. There's obviously a real relationship here. And we very rarely see any good memories about B, even though Carl has them, but he always frames it in terms of Donut. he says, oh, well, I remember this time when we were washing Donut and she was so upset and B and I were laughing and laughing. So like they were doing these bonding couple lovely things together. But we aren't hearing about that. We're only hearing about how disgusting and despicable she is. And it rubbed me the wrong way. And I want to talk about that.
Right? You want to weigh in?
I mean, I think the it's easy to go to the trope of writing the other person negatively. I think it's just an easy way to go. And I hadn't thought about any positive moments because of what happens later on. So
right.
It's easy. And of course, this was all brought back up listening to it this time around. So, you know, it's kind of hard, you know, it just really is. So
I have to say, I think I agree with Run in the comments here. That I didn't feel like this was a redemption moment for B at all. Just because, like I said in a previous post I made, that love is a word that people can so easily say, but it's actions that speak louder than words. If you're not bringing a person, if you're not adding life to a person's life, like bringing them life instead of death, you don't love them, you love yourself. There's something comforting, I think, to her Beatrice that Carl represents, but she's not loving him. She's loving whatever feeling that she's getting from him, and then she's going off to get all the other feelings that she wants. I think she is extremely selfish, and I know that you're right, you know, but there are people like that. There really are people like that. They're mostly men, frankly. But in this case, it's Beatrice. But I do think though that is a trope of people of cheaters. They're like, but I love him or her. They don't want to lose them, but they also
don't want to stop doing what they're doing.
What they're doing, exactly. They're just they've just internalized their narcissism so much that it's just what drives them. They're always led by the nose because they are a narcissist. And until somebody like that is broken, like eventually what happens to Beatrice, and I feel like, I don't know if she's going to come back into play, but obviously, spoiler alert, you know, if she's still alive, she's obviously a very broken person now.
She's definitely, if she's alive at this point, she's on the surface theoretically, so...
Yeah, but when you are an habitual cheater, which she is obviously established to be, then the word love coming out of somebody's mouth like that means very little to me, and I think it should to most of us. It should be suspicious, you know.
I think that's a good point, and
she turns around and says what she says about Donut, you know.
Right, exactly, and that this scene here, she's talking to her mom, she's not talking to Carl, so it gives it a little bit more weight for me that she's not, you know, I think if she just told Carl, oh, but I love you, it would sound empty, it would sound incredibly disingenuous, but she's not. She's talking to her mother. She doesn't think Carl can even hear her. And so, yes, you know, people are pointing out in the comments, yes, she was cheating on Carl. Yes, she was planning on getting rid of Donut. The first one, obviously inexcusable. The getting rid of Donut, to our perspective, as obviously loving Donut as much as we do, that seems horrific. But for someone whose profession is cat shows, I mean, that is a thing that people do. It doesn't make it better, but it is a thing that people do. So, you know, I don't think it means that they're utterly, completely unforgivable forever, just pure evil. You know, it's, oh, well, that's a crappy thing to do, but maybe you also do some things that are okay. I just feel like this ex-girlfriend trope of being pure evil, it just comes off with a hint. It isn't, but a hint of misogyny.
Yeah, I don't think she's pure evil. I don't think people who behave the way that Beatrice behaves are evil. I think they're just vain and narcissistic. That doesn't make them evil. There are a lot of good people who want to be good that have that personality flaw, you know? And they do a lot of good things too. They're a mixed bag, you know? Not everybody who does good things is a good person. Not everybody who does bad things is an entirely bad person. I don't think Beatrice is shown necessarily in the eventuality to be an entirely bad person. I think she just needs to grow up, but I don't vilify her. I have empathy for her, actually, because as a man, I get it more than most women probably do, because I've met more men that are like her, frankly, than women. So, but I don't. I think I question whether or not she knows what love is, even if she feels like love. She loves something about Carl, but does she love Carl?
Or does she just love the comfort of that relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think narcissist is probably a really good word. She very clearly is narcissistic, whether it's whether it's diagnosed or just the adjective, but what she comes across anyway. But the fact that that's all we see, I think that I'm almost looking at it from every time I've talked with a friend who talks about an ex or something, and they just describe the worst things. And every now and then I know that person. I'm like, okay, yeah, they did do something crappy, but so did you, so have I, so has everyone. That to define somebody from one bad moment, maybe that's what I'm identifying with a little bit here. And to be clear, she has more than one bad moment. She has many bad moments, but there had to be something good. I just wish that she was a little more well-rounded. She feels very one-dimensional.
Yeah. I see I do see what you're saying. Yeah. And I can't say that it isn't easier for a guy to vilify a female than it is to vilify the male character.
Just a character. She's just a character.
She's just a character, yeah.
I see a lot of parallels. I just got to thinking about this between Bee and Skylar in Breaking Bad and how they're written.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad. I know.
You haven't?
I know.
Okay, well, Skylar is just written as this. I mean, it's just easy to hate her. Throughout the whole series. Peter, you agree with me there on that? Have you seen the show?
Yeah, I have. I know you're talking about it anyway. I haven't seen the whole thing.
It's just easy to hate on Skylar through that whole show. So it's just written in a way, even though she may have some good characteristics that she's trying to do, the way it's written in the show, it's just easy to bring that hate. So kind of similar to what Bee's going through. I'm not saying she's a good person or a bad person, whatever, but based on the actions that we're seeing that Matt has written about, it's just easy to have that baseline level hate or vitriol for Bee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my feeling about people in general is hurting people hurt people.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
All the time is that all actions come from a form of suffering. Personally, I believe that, and so I have to always be compassionate and never try to make anyone, even human beings outside of a book, especially human beings outside of a book, a one-dimensional character in my mind. And we don't get a lot of Bee. We don't. We only get that one-dimensional aspect of her. And the fact of the matter is, I've said this on one of my own stories about myself, is no human being is a short story. Every human being is an epic novel.
Yes.
And so
good quote.
Reserve compassion for everyone in that regard, because we are so complicated. There's no such thing as a one-dimensional, no one's twisting their
right, and that's how I picture it. That's exactly, I actually have a video record that I just haven't put out yet, and that's exactly what I said. I'm like, he might as well have just given her a mustache to twirl and her, and go and tie donut to a railroad track. That's the way that it comes across for me. Whereas we do meet characters in future books that are bad. Even Frank Q, that we've already met him. We saw that he and Maggie Mai killed their daughter, but they don't know why yet. So we don't really know. We don't have the full story yet. But even that, and they are despicable. They're terrible people. However, he gives them a little bit of an out with, okay, but their trainer told them to kill other crawlers, and it doesn't make them better, but you're sort of like, okay, well, that's sort of crappy, Yeah. And then you find out why they killed their daughter, and you're like, oh, geez, they're so tormented. Okay, well, that's sort of crappy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you mentioned that couple, because you just made me realize I had an epiphany about Matt Dinniman, which I'm sad about, because you said the misogyny was coming through, but there are more female villains in these 7 books than there are male villains in some ways when it comes, because Maggie Mai is way worse than
Maggie Mai is way, and she's way worse. Like Frank has a little bit of a redemption. Maggie Mai really, like, Maggie's terrible, but she's also like, if I lost my child, honestly, I might go with a full villain arc too. You know, like, I sort of get that.
Yeah. So what happens to her husband? But yeah. She really loses.
He just gives up.
Although in this situation, though, a lot of people would be just breaking from reality. There'd be breakdowns and insanity all over the place.
Yeah.
Not everybody would remain sane in this situation, and you can hardly blame them. And I could see the things that she's gone through, why she, goes the direction she goes. She loses it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like, she goes more for revenge. Frank goes more for, I'm just broken down and giving up. And like, those both feel like real choices that one could make in that situation. I mean, we do have Quancy H eventually as another villain character.
That's true.
So, I think it's probably pretty evenly split. I think. I don't know. We should actually start doing a little tally with how many.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
So one of the reasons why I brought up even B, though, is when I brought this book, book 1, to my real life book club at my library, and nobody there had ever read it before. Every single person said, I would have never picked this up if not for book club. And we read a book every month, and this just happened to be like the one I was like, hey, so I've got this suggestion. It is a sci-fi fantasy, but most of them are a little more fantasy. And everybody at book club did like it, but one person at book club did actually say, from somebody who knows nothing of the culture, knows nothing about Matt Dinniman, knows nothing about any of the other books, was like, the way that B was written was a little cringy for me. And so it even came out to someone that it was their first time reading, and I agreed. It does, I don't love it. I think my point.
And I'm going to go to one of the videos you posted earlier where you talked about Carl as a narrator, directly narrating to us his version of the story. So it kind of goes back to that statement you said about how when somebody talks about their ex, it's often a little unfair.
Yep.
In some ways, we are getting Carl's version of B, and his pain and his hurt and bias against her too. So
that's actually a really good point. That if this truly is Carl's point of view, then it would make sense that she is just, and because it's so recent, that it's so new. This breakup is so new. And he says it. Is it in these chapters, or is it like, I've gone through chapter 20, so it might be in 20, where he says, of course I'm still hurt. I pretend I'm not, but of course this hurts. I miss her, and he does say it. So it is a very, very new breakup. So that would make sense if it was his point of view, which, it's first person written, so it is his point of view.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. You're making me a little softer to the idea. Which is what book club, I think anyway, book club is really good for, is to share ideas, and usually different opinions come somewhere in the middle, but it's okay to have different opinions. It is okay. It's actually encouraged. I just have to point out that Mike in the chat said, now that the world's collapsed, B really is one-dimensional. And I know for a fact, I think Mike is on book 3. So, that is a funny joke. Also, keep reading.
I think Carl needs a hug.
Oh, Carl does need a hug.
He's pants too, but yeah, he's a hug.
And he is... Persephone's reminding me too that Carl, he is an unreliable narrator. It is first person. It is from his point of view. And I love that in future books and in future chapters where suddenly things happen that weren't Carl's idea. And he's like, whoa, what's going on? And I love that in here, that the world is still happening around him. It's not just him.
Yeah.
All right. So that's about B. My next one that I liked, one of the things that really came out for me in these chapters is, we know that Donut has a super high charisma, but I feel like we're really, really getting to see what that means with the way that she talks with shopkeepers, that she just straight up, she goes in and she was like, "Oh, you're so handsome. I've never seen a skyfowl so strong as you." This is in chapter 14. And then things like, "Oh, is that the best we can do, sweetie?" So she like, I love this because I'm thinking about this as a gamer, as somebody who in D&D, somebody who would have a character with high charisma. And the way that that's usually played is usually by somebody who does not have high charisma themselves. Yeah. And so it's, I make the shopkeeper give us a better price. Well, how do you do that? I use charisma. But here we see it. I feel like these are good examples for a gamer with high charisma to see what you should be saying when you're gaming. Then every now and then we also see shopkeepers who are unaffected by her charisma. Miss Quill is another one that is unaffected by her charisma when they go up in the Skyfowl. So is she abusing her charisma score, or is she just using her gifts?
I think using her gifts. I don't see it as an abuse. I mean, she obviously had some of that naturally, I think, just being in the cat show world, because she had to show off in order, score as high as she has to be the Queen Anne chonk and all this stuff, So I think it's just a natural extension of her personality.
Yeah, Donut has charisma just naturally. The fact that she's got such a high charisma score just makes her OP. She's just...
She really does.
And so, I mean, and not having the charisma work on the literal villains, that makes a lot of sense too. I mean, but I think she would have an advantage personality-wise, no matter what her score was.
So even if she didn't have that, so you're saying that what she's saying, these things are probably what she would be saying anyway, even if she didn't have this charisma score?
Oh yeah, I didn't interpret it as affecting how she behaves at all. Just like intelligence doesn't make you more intelligent, as far as your score goes. I feel like she's just being herself. It's just having an extra sort of glamour on people as well at the same time. It's her personality plus a bit of glamour.
Yeah, she does use it to get better prices, which I think is normal. And Mordecai says that they're going to be able to. So that's beautiful. I'm thinking of, again, a future book where she uses it and has the shopkeeper in tears because she's trying. The person's like, "I can't go any lower." Donut's like, "Come on, you can go lower." And the person's like, "Now I have to pay for it myself." And Donut's like, "Yeah, you should." So I think at that point she is abusing it because she's just doing it purely to try to go up in skill. This poor shopkeeper is about to go bankrupt.
She arguably the first time she abuses it is in the first book with the poor goblins. She's like, "Oh, sweetie."
I'm calling you Lorelai. You're Lorelai.
Exactly. And they're like, it's not a good fall. And then she gets them to leave so that they can blow up a bunch of babies.
Yeah, exactly. She literally leaves them and then walks and kills everyone.
Now that was probably the most blatant abuse that I can remember.
Yeah.
It starts out early on.
But she even gets them all to all leave. I love that with, "All right, guys, we're taking a break." And everybody's like, "What's a break?" They literally never had a break. They had never left that room. And Donut convinces Rory and Lorelai to take them all out.
Yeah.
I just liked it, from a gamer perspective of a way to play high charisma as an example of high charisma too. There's so many good gaming tie-ins. Obviously, it's lit RPG, but as a role player, it's fun to see. Oh, okay. You don't just say, "I charm them." It's here's what you can say. Thank you for the fan club stuff. I love that. Is Charles Chapter in here?
He is.
He is. Oh my goodness. I love Charles. There he is. You guys are on mute? Oh, for him. I was like, "Oh, wait, hold on. Has nobody heard anything we've said?"
Oh, that would be
that would be awkward.
Hey, I love talking with both of you anyway. That's amazing. We have Charles and Sam in here. And a whole bunch of other wonderful people too. All right, so I did do a video about this today, but I did it because I knew this was one of my questions. If you could take a potion with an earth hobby, one, what would you like to have in real life? But if you were in the dungeon, what would you do? And pretend you could choose, right? Like with them, obviously they couldn't choose. They have no idea. But I also like, what would be a really bad hobby to have in the dungeon?
I think I saw in the comments of that one, and it made total sense, was like some kind of carpentry skill.
That's what I said. I was trying to think of like, but I was trying to like, in book one, when they're building the thing to fight the first like city boss with Brandon and Chris and everything, and Carl like wanted to put all the weight on the back, and Chris said no, you have to put it on the front. I don't remember the specifics because I don't know anything about building. But that guy knew it, and Carl was like, wow, I'm really glad that he knew that, because we would have been screwed if he hadn't. So I'm thinking like that type of like building, just understanding structure and structural building would be a good one. And
I think that the one that I wouldn't want would be something like in a culinary arts type thing, because you know, there's no need for it. I mean, it seems like the dungeon is providing. I mean, you may not get the best cuisine, but I mean, that's not important. You just need enough sustenance to live on the
Peter,
next day.
You're going to say something.
Food is a great seducer, though. I mean, it really is. The way to people's heart is through their stomach. And if you've ever read He Who Fights with Monsters, which is another great lit RPG, I'm not going to compare it to Dungeon Crawler Carl. It is very, very funny, but it's totally different. But that's one of the skills. That's one of the skills of the main character. He is an amazing cook, and he constantly, that's his charisma. Okay. He constantly wins people over by cooking food for them. So, hey, it wouldn't be entirely useless. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, I'm just thinking that, you know, I wouldn't want to have knowledge of this if you know, I could use it for something else. You know, like donuts isn't really that particularly useful right now. Mm-hmm. You know, so.
And I love that, like, that I didn't realize that it was this early that it shows that she knows about it when she's talking about the stitches, and you know, she very clearly, that is what the hobby is, but she doesn't learn that that's what the hobby is until I don't even know when, but in the future, that she has gotten this hobby that's about something with sewing and stitchery and garment design. But that it says that she's like, oh, look, the stitching of that, you can tell that this is blah, blah, and they're both like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A MacGyver skill. That would be good. I don't think that MacGyver is a skill, but that's what I'm trying to think of.
I mean, Carl has that already. He just creates things to blow things up. So, I mean, that was what MacGyver did.
Yeah, got the MacGyver skill, for sure.
Which is what, when last week that I had AC on, that she talked about, because she is former Coast Guard, that is exactly what Coast Guards are, is their whole deal is, like, basically learning how to be MacGyver. So he already has that. So, you know, he doesn't necessarily need that. I also love the idea, though, that it's a hobby, right? It's not a skill potion, that this is a hobby, but are there hobbies? Somebody said stamp collecting, which is just useless, right? I think that there are so many hobbies that would be complete, basket weaving, whatever, that would be completely useless. But I saw somebody say something about like bug collecting, which could be downright offensive and potentially harmful in a dungeon that has beings, very powerful beings that look like bugs.
Yeah,
very true.
I like how, like, donut skill that is about apparel, that even something that seems minor does become useful.
Yeah.
And I love that in books and in stories where something, it's not always just, oh, they have fireball, they cast fireball. It's like, yeah, but what if you don't have fireball, but you know how clothes are made? How are you going to use that? Yeah, the bugs could be sentient, and that's the whole deal, is let's not collect sentient beings like they're just specimens. I think cooking, though, in addition to He Who Fights with Monsters, the train that I keep tooting is all the skills. I love it as a series. It's my second favorite lit RPG series. And all the skills in book one, the skill that he works on the entirety of the book is cooking, to the point it's almost like a how-to cook book with some narrative and fiction and story around it. It's very in-depth. But That's what he does. He's like, wait a minute. Yeah. Wait, say that again.
How to throw a great Barbie.
Yeah, exactly. But he's working in a kitchen specifically, so he has to like learn how to be a sous chef, and it's very good. But cooking is the main skill in that one as well. Cooking comes up a lot in Lit RPG.
It does, because it comes up in heretical fishing quite a bit too.
Yeah. Cooking and yes, exactly. Geneva, who knows all of the cooking. Live will end. Oh my goodness. Why do I have to do this? I have to drag puzzle pieces? Hold on. I don't understand why I have to do that. It thinks I wasn't
active. Prove you're a human and you're not just a bot running a live.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always thought that whenever I think about, I don't know who hasn't ever thought what their 3 wishes would be if they got a genie. You know what I mean? One of mine would be, 2 of mine would be either the ability to know every single language anyone ever speaks, and then another one would be to be able to absorb all the information from a book just by touching it. I mean, I go to a library and I would just be like running my hands on. So somebody in your comments said speed reading. And I
saw that. That's a good one.
I thought that would probably be the most useful one that I would want in the dungeon.
Because Carl does still have to read the HUD in front of his face. He is still reading it. It's not just that the information is stored in.
And also, I mean, just like the knowledge you would gain from being able to, from the dungeon itself, being able to read every book you found very, very quickly and absorb it.
Yeah.
So, and take on the skills inside of it.
I like those moments where in this he gets those books, right? He gets the Westerns that he's just having fun with. At one point, too, he talks about that he had porridge for breakfast. I like those teeny little moments that are just like, you know what? Yes, they're out, they're fighting, they're training, but there are down moments too. Yeah. That, like I never thought before about Carl and Donut just sitting down every morning and having breakfast. Like, it just seems such a commonplace, mundane thing to happen in the middle of this hellscape. So it's like, yeah, but they still eat breakfast.
And those are the moments that keep you sane in that situation. Yeah. I said it before, I'll say it again, is the fact that imagine being alone in the situation. The fact that Donut and Carl at least have each other in the beginning, and then they build that support group. That would be the only way to survive this situation.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like the progression of how they keep building their family, their found family, essentially within the dungeon. And that's one of the themes I really like in this book.
I do just have to correct Chad in the chat super quickly, where he says porridge is big in the beginning of Magic 2.0. It's not porridge, it's stew. And it's off to be the wizard, which I can't, God, I need more people to read this. I want to talk about that as much as I want to talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl. But the series is Magic 2.0. The first one's off to be the wizard, and Stu and Philip and Stu play a major part of the beginning of that book.
Tangent, can I correct something that I said in the last time I was on this?
Please. The
last time I was on here, I know that I said Travis Deverill is an amazing narrator of He Who Fights with Monsters. Travis is the author. Heath Miller.
Heath Miller is the narrator.
Is the amazing narrator.
How did I miss that?
I'm pretty sure I said Travis's name instead of Heath. So shout out to Heath Miller. Anyway.
And I just know him as Shirtaloon. It's Shirtaloon. It's Honor Ray. It's Pirate Abba. It's Shirtaloon. So many of them just have these screen names using as their author names. Yeah. Yeah, Heath Miller, though, is a fantastic narrator.
He's amazing.
All right. Also, hey, if anybody in the chat has any ideas still for their ideal Earth hobbies. All right. So we have the entire thing within this section of Gum Gum's quest of all of the dead sex workers, although Matt never uses the term sex workers. He does use every other term.
There's some horror there, too. That's another horror element.
That is so horrific. So horrific. But then, even that Gum Gum, adventurers, please. Fuck off. It's just brush off. And then they find her dead. That feels like the beginning of a Knives Out type movie, right? Like a murder thriller type story. So that entire storyline, though, I think that this book, it basically is just sort of storyline to storyline. We've got the whole circus thing, and then we have the whole Gum Gum thing, and then that leads to the whole Skyfell thing. And that's what this book is. But this particular one, with in chapter 17, we see that Gum Gum has died. Thoughts about this when you were first reading it for the first time? Did you have theories? Because remember, we don't know yet sort of what the outcome is. We have met Miss Quill and seen her Beanie Baby collection, and she says that what's the magistrate, what's his name, like the person in charge, and he never comes out.
Free.
Yeah,
Featherfall.
Yeah. Yes. That only comes out at night, and so we're automatically assuming that it's probably him, and so that's why they're trying to come out at night. But did you have any theories for this? Did this feel like a mystery that they had to solve? Besides just like obviously a mystery, but did it feel mysterious? Were you actually curious how this was going to play out the first time you read it?
Trying to let Brett go.
I'm trying to think. I don't. Go ahead.
Yeah. I feel like I did. I did feel like this was going to be more important, just because it was downplayed originally. So I thought, oh yeah, okay, this is actually going to be important. As far as who I thought I feel like I was led right along with Carl as far as who the suspicious suspects were. You know, there was Miss Quill, and then the Featherfall, and I thought for sure he was right about them. So I guess I was just it seemed obvious to me every time, especially when they mentioned the fact that there was a strange female skyfowl who was showing up when the dwarf said that or whatever.
Yeah, right. That part is past 19. And Graham, you're right that this storyline is past chapter 19, the full storyline. So in chapter 19, in chapter 18 is when they go and they meet Miss Quill, and they go up and she's like, oh, Featherfall's always away. And then they dump the body on her desk. He was like, okay, let me leave you with the evidence. And has this twisted, and there is a disturbing description of this body with, just right on, and all of the Beanie Babies getting covered in this sludge. Like, it's very descriptive.
Clear, viscous liquid.
Yeah. So that's chapter 18. So this mystery has been planted, but the full storyline is coming. That's more in chapters 20 through 25 with what it is, them trying to solve it. So like the seed has been planted, which is chapter 19 with it's planting a seed. But, it was sort of starting like, okay, we started with a horror genre and now we're moving into like a mystery genre.
A very horrific mystery.
Yeah, horrific mystery. Any thoughts though on that quest line, on Gum Gum, on all of the dead sex workers? Again, many other words were used, but should have been called sex workers.
I saw earlier in the chat there, somebody had said this is like planting the seed of when Carl starts thinking about the NPCs beyond just being that. And I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, it is, because later on, obviously,
Yeah.
So
that's really good that it was like, wait a minute, these people are, they're doing what they can. And a lot of times, they were put here sort of against their will. Yeah, no, that is true. That he humanized the ladies by dumping the body right on the desk. Like, see, they're real. That's what Persephone is saying in the chat. I love that too. That she's like, oh well, what's this, a skyfowl? And Donut's like, well, we don't know my cat. We don't know yet on who the suspects were, and they're like, we only care if it's a skyfowl as a victim.
Yeah, and that's kind of a running theme in these chapters and in this book is the fact that how people write off other human beings as lesser. So the Skyfall, everybody who's earthbound, but then Mordecai writes off Gum Gum because she's a low quest NPC, and then whoever's killing these victims writes them off because they're
not Skyfall,
and they're women of the repute or whatever, and it is a turning point where you see that Carl is starting to feel like compassion, like when he looks at her, he sees her crying, and then he goes over there and talks to her. But you don't know that until Donut says, "Did you get the quest?" and
Yeah.
something like that predictable. It's just sometimes, and that he's kind of starting to soften and have questions about what. I think the question is, what makes a person real?
Yeah.
Because I just finished. We're gonna go off to another. Here. I just finished Sentence to Troll.
Yeah.
And have you read
I haven't read that one yet, and I want to so badly.
One of the things in that is the guys in an immersive. Him and several other people have been sentenced kind of as criminals to be in this immersive VR game, but they know they're playing a game, and so most of them are like NPCs are just NPCs, and they act psychopathic. They kill randomly, they just to gain experience and points, and they treat them. And one of the themes of the book is that he starts to realize, what makes them more or less real than me. They have a sense of the past, the present, and hopes for the future. Mm-hmm. What makes a person real other than that, really? It's like the movie Dark City. You see Dark City or whatever, and how these people are created new every single day, and they're given a full set of memories, they're given a full personality, and they believe wholeheartedly they're real. We don't know. That's not us, people.
Yeah, seriously.
Are we in a simulation? Real is sentient, and these NPCs are as sentient as you get. Yep. So I think that we have to. I think he's redefining his definition of what makes a person alive,
which is a common thing that's told in stories, and I love it every time. I mean, that's exactly what Severance is about too, right? The TV show Severance, where there's the innies and the outies, and the innies are like, wait a minute, my outie is making decisions for me, but I'm a person too. And so like the people, when they're at their job, but they can't remember who they are outside their job, but they're like, but I'm a person. And so outies quitting the job from their perspective, is killing them, because then they cease to exist. And so like which is such an interesting way of who's real? Like, are you combined by, are you defined by your body or by your memories? And if one of those two things split, which one are you? So yeah, these NPCs and the memories that they have, they think they're real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They got a full set of consciousness, and that's all you really need.
And, they have consciousness and desires and family and fears and everything that you would say, makes somebody real. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think that's a really good point, that this is just another example of Carl and Donut seeing these NPCs as real, where I think that the dungeon is meant for them not really to see them as just a stepping stone, as a tool. And they're starting to see them as people, and as, just as trapped as they are. And yeah.
I mean, I think the ability to dehumanize another is at the root of all evil. The ability to do something evil towards another is how, to what effect you can dehumanize them.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. So on that, chapter 19, Carl and Donut go on to Ripper Wonton's danger zone and meet a bunch of different characters, including Manasa and Princess Donadia for the first time. And the guy that, oh my God, I forgot his name, that Carl hates immediately.
Tucker.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tucker.
I forgot all about
whatever they call it.
Tucker.
Butler.
Oh gosh. He's like, but I love the description of Tucker is he had a really punchable face. Like that was the way that Carl describes him. That was it. I immediately didn't like him. He had a punchable face.
I like how Donut showed him up too with the comedy bit routine.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, aren't you supposed to be funny? Look, it's not that hard.
Or what do you think about this very complex subject? Well, I'm just a cat. What am I supposed to know about it?
Yes.
I'm just smart enough not to know that I'm talking out of my ass.
I have to go back super quickly to something that I thought that was really, really funny. I think it's one of the most clever things that's happened is when Carl is talking with Pustule, the hobgoblin who is selling them the different like bombs and stuff,
Yeah.
and she's actually assessing it, and she's going to be a regular thing. And Donut is saying how ugly she is. Like, oh gosh, I'm so glad you didn't choose that. And she comes over, she's like, yeah, you know, I have excellent hearing. And Donut says, oh, I'm sorry, I think we got off on the wrong foot. And Pustul's comment is, wouldn't want anybody to get off on feet now, would we?
It was like, I think it's a little late for that.
But then just that they're like, oh yeah, you got off on the wrong foot. We wouldn't want anyone to get off on feet. It's like, it was just so well placed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I also liked a moment, going back to another funny moment, when we have those crocodile, the vampire flying heads with the entrails and everything, and this little guy is like, I've spent my whole life trying to find you two, and they just kill him straight out. That it's an Indiana Jones moment, which is all, you know, it works. It worked in Indiana Jones. It worked here with, he was trying to go through this big giant epic speech, and it's just blunk, like knock his head off, kick him in the nuts and move on. Like, I prepared my whole life, and then just magic missile. I thought that those were, gun and a knife fight. That's exactly what it was this little guy trying to say his entire speech, and they were just like, no. Anyway, we need to move on. So they meet Tucker and talk about comedy with Ripper Wonton. And this one is really important because, as Carl says, all you have to do is plant a seed. You don't have to, lead the entire revolution. You just have to plant the seed. And he does. And he like directly speaks to the audience of saying, your life shouldn't be like this. You should do something about it. And, obviously we know that is the "you will not break me," the entire mantra of these books. But like, that was, I think, a little gutsy. And, and like in book 2, to bring it out in book 2. It also just, for me, shows that there's so much else going on beyond just Carl and Donut, right? Like, they're planting the seed, and then they're going to go back in the dungeon. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing. But that seed's going to grow and fester, and more things are going to happen. And I like that in stories. I like that it's not just, the entire world is the main character. That it's more about that there is a whole world happening.
And that's where we really start to see that Carl's plan is more than just surviving in the dungeon. Yeah. That he's got a much bigger idea of what he wants to do to these people. Mm-hmm. And it's not just about survival. It's about, I think, burning it all down, really. Burning it all down. So, and that's where we get a glimpse of that, as far as the strategy goes. Yeah. Yeah, that, he said it, and then they try killing him and accidentally kill Manasa. And that's when he gets so angry with, you didn't care when it was us, but you care when it's your friend. Mm-hmm. So, I think at that point he really feels like he wants to burn it all down, but he had just said it and planted it just, for shits and giggles, basically, already. Dungeon crawler lives matter. Yeah. They do, though. We have selective compassion. It's just what it is. Yeah. It has to be said. Mm-hmm. On the show, they meet Hekla for the first time. And Hekla just says, first of all, I really like Hekla's description that she's just watching them the whole time. Like, is this how it always is with you guys? Carl's like, yeah, usually. And just very randomly, very nonchalantly says, I have a favor to ask you. I have a friend who needs help leveling. You should meet up with her. And oh my, does that become a pretty major storyline to come. Because I love Katya. I adore Katya.
I love Donut just immediately said, yeah, sure, why not?
Exactly. And Donut was like, oh, we should partner with her. And Carl's like, I don't think I'd be welcome there. Yeah. Donut not picking up on social cues is beautiful and relatable.
That's Donut being a fangirl. She's the ultimate fangirl. Yeah. Yeah, she loves her fans, but she's also a great fan herself. So
I still, like, whenever I try to think of sort of defining Donut, I still think of when she picks up the Rev Up pamphlet with "Be your own boss, not a pyramid," and it's in a pyramid shape. Like her being like, "Oh, Carl, we should do this," and her being completely bought and, you know, very ready to go and start being a Rev Up consultant. And she's just, it's an innocence, and it's
she's still a child.
Yep. So it was another thing that I posted that I just still can't get over, speaking of Donut being a child, is in the beginning of this book, Donut says to Mongo, "Hey, look, it's Uncle Carl." And she says it twice. And she says it in these chapters too. She also refers to Carl again as Uncle Carl. And that just threw me for a loop. I never thought of it like that. So that means that she thinks of Carl as like a brother, as a sibling. If she's telling Mongo, it's Uncle Carl. But then she also said, "Look, it's a picture of B." When they get the loot boxes and she gets her fan box and she gets that picture of B. That was the Instagram photo to make Carl upset. And she's like, "Look, it's your grandmother." So she thinks of B as her mother, but she thinks of Carl as her sibling. And that just...
I didn't notice it at all either.
I didn't until this read through. And I was like, Uncle Carl? What do you mean Uncle Carl? Like, I don't think of them as... I never thought of their relationship as a sibling relationship. And so that just really threw me off.
Well, you know, that I like that, though, because who do you feel more like you can be yourself around, your brother or your mother or father?
True.
You know what I mean? Your sibling. I mean, who's going to become your real friend? You know, is going to be somebody that's a little bit more on your level. And so I think that's kind of acknowledging that Carl is a friend. He's a friend. So he has to have there's more distance between a parent and a child than there is between, you know, two friends. And so, yeah, to call him uncle, I think that's kind of sweet.
And I think that there's, and somebody in chat says, like, I introduce your kids to close friends as uncle or aunt, which I have too. I do, yeah. I had, you know, somebody growing up that I told my kids was their uncle. And it was like, you know, not uncle by blood, but it's your uncle. So I totally get that. But that still is like putting it as a peer level. Like a sibling, a very close friend is still a peer level. But she specifically says, "Look, Mongo, it's a picture of your grandmother," to the picture of B. So she's thinking of B as her mother, but not Carl as a parent. And so it's like, then that makes the B-Carl relationship really weird in Donut's head too.
Yeah.
And a little wrong.
Yeah. I get but she was B's. She was B's before Carl was even in the picture.
Yeah.
You know, so B's her mom. B's her mom.
B's her mom. And Carl's just this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it threw me. I didn't pick it up the first 4 times. I read this with Uncle Carl. It was like, Uncle Carl, wait a minute. We also get, just as another aside, a piece of foreshadowing in these chapters when they talk about Mongo and how terrifying it looks like he's going to be, and sure hope we never meet a pack of him, they say. Yeah. Wow. It's like, oh no, yeah. Which, do you think that when Matt wrote that, then, like, you know, he stars that in his big giant spreadsheet in one book? He's like,
probably so, yeah.
We should get a pack of them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly how he writes, right? That it's, you know, it would be interesting. I said this in book 2. That would be interesting to... Yeah. Yeah.
Where he goes back and says, like, what haven't I touched on before? Or I said that way back here. That's cool.
Book 2, chapter 12. Sure hope we don't meet a whole pack of Mongo. Yeah. So that whole thing with Ripper Wonton, another thing that just stood out to me with that is they were talking about, it wasn't Ripper, the assistant that they talked to before they actually go on Ripper's show, and talking about, like, wait, what kind of alien are you? What kind of alien is this? And talking about different aliens. And Carl's like, wait a minute, like, you look sort of familiar, but usually, you know, the stories of aliens on my planet were They looked a very specific way, and that guy he's talking to says, oh yeah, those are the null are all perverts.
Yes.
And so then they talk about that, but that's pretty casual racism just being thrown out too. Like, he's saying, oh, those race are the null, they are all perverts. That is true. That is what stereotypes and, the definition of stereotype and racism is exactly that. Mm-hmm. So, like when you're talking about alien species, to make them all sound the same, like, do we want all humans to be the same? Because I don't want to be equated with a lot of people.
No. Yeah, right.
There are a lot of people I'm like, no, we are not the same.
Yeah.
But I just think it's funny when we hear descriptions from Mordecai, from, other people, like, oh, the nulls are all this, or,
the Skyfall are all this.
And, the Skyfall are all this. And even Mordecai says it. Mordecai talks about Skyfall more than anybody else.
Yes.
Being a Skyfall.
He is a Skyfall, though, so.
Right. So that's easier. Like, that doesn't come off as racist. That comes off as like, oh, God, we're terrible.
And it's pretty consistent, honestly, because, even you have the term for the, I can't remember the race, but they call them the mud skippers.
Yeah.
It's kind of a derogatory. Yeah. There's a lot of racism across the board with these species. And that's a big theme.
Oh gosh, there's Bort and Valtay. Yeah, but it's the mud skippers. But don't say that out loud. They don't like
it's
it.
The fish people, right? So it's the Vorin, right?
The Kuatin, the Kuatin, right? Yeah.
The Kuatin, they're the mud skippers, and so again, it's this constant theme of dehumanizing or making lesser or other.
Yes, it's
another group of people in order to treat them with bias or prejudice.
Yep.
Or lesser their value as beings, And that's the problem with this whole system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think Carl sees that right away. And when he's like, I'm tearing it all, that's my goal, is to tear it all down. We're seeing how flawed it is. So, what other, within this section or this book so far, any other funny moments that stand out to you? Any other moments that you would like to talk about?
The constant talking about what he's wanting, in this instance, pants, and then his fan box is, nope, you're not getting pants now because you can't have anything else over these boxers. So, yeah.
When he gets the big boy boxers, but they only work if he wears nothing on top of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Donut says, oh, you get to wear chaps now. Hopefully you can cover your legs that way.
Have either of you seen the quote or the video where Matt gives Jeff a piece of book 8 and to read, and Jeff hadn't seen it before, and he has to get up on stage and just read this section from book 8, but he chose it because it doesn't have a lot of spoilers, and it's so gross.
I think I started listening to it, but I stopped because I don't want any thought of this book coming out until I get it in my hands. So
I'm the same way. I don't want chapter for chapter. I don't want to. I just want to get it all at once. I'm one of those people who often waits for a whole series to come out before I will watch it.
So you're this one's special then because you're not waiting.
So, well, that's true. As far as book series goes, that's frustrating. Whenever I get into a book series it's not complete, I'm like, damn it. Yeah. But I'm already hooked. But with TV series and stuff like that, though, I'll often wait. If it's going to be released weekly, I'll be like, I'll watch it when it's all out and stuff like that. I didn't do that with Welcome to Derry, but that was okay. But anyway.
I actually did. I still have to watch it. Speaking of, I thought it was interesting that this section, Donut talks about, thank you for the fan club stuff. Thank you, Graham. That Donut talks about how the side characters can't be more popular than the main characters, which was why in Stranger Things they had to kill off Barb. She talks about this in chapter 12. And which is really funny because I'm trying to catch up on or watching, season 5 right now of Stranger Things. And, the next 3 episodes come out in a couple days now. So it was fun to read that right when, Stranger Things is very, very relevant again.
Yeah. I love it. I actually understood. That actually made a lot of sense, except the part about Barb.
I love Barb. I loved Barb in all 2 episodes.
A reference, to Barb. It's the weird thing about Barb. It's we were all like, oh, no, not Barb.
Not Barb.
Her little part. Somehow she became
2 episodes and she caught our heart.
Yep.
Yeah. So that though, talking about like the boxes and that Donut complains every time she gets a torch, and so now she has a zillion torches, literally. Yeah. I love that. But one thing that happened within these two that really made me think is that their memories can affect their prizes, and so Carl discovers that because when he gets the Chistera, he has these memories of throwing the cherry bombs. And so he understands what it is right away of throwing cherry bombs, and then he gets this prize. So the prizes are custom to them. But I think that also just gives us like Carl thinking about and having all these memories of his father and of Bee and all of these things in his past and some of this trauma he's had. Thank you so much for this stuff being sent. Captain Heather, thank you. That does affect the loot in the dungeon. So, it's like their whole memories have been scanned and ported in to be used, which I think helps understand why all these flashbacks keep coming up. I think that part of it is that for us, the reader, to just see a full picture. But I think that, the whole waterfall happening and Carl having all these memories that really affect him, there's something AI going on with that too, with him always thinking about his father and having all of these traumatic memories come up. Like, that's not just Carl.
That's something about with the whole circus thing too, where he's like,
the smells, yes, the smells.
Like he instantly gets angry because it's like they are reframing all of his memories, even the happy ones, especially.
Yeah.
And weaponizing them against him.
And weaponizing. That's exactly what they're doing, is they're weaponizing that smell. So he has a thing and he's like, God damn it, this was good smell. And now you're going to take it and turn it into this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to break him. And I think he's aware. He's like, you will not break me. Those are the moments where he's like, you will not break me.
Yeah. All right. So Brett just shared a moment from these chapters. Peter, do you have anything from the book all the way up until now?
Oh my God, you already took my favorite. I just loved. Well, they didn't shoot lasers out of their eyes either, Carl. But here we are.
So good.
I just love that. I love that. I still haven't tried a Dirty Shirley. Have you? I've never had one.
Oh, that's like all I've been drinking. Besides,
really? I keep telling myself I gotta have a Dirty Shirley because it's on it.
Just a Shirley Temple of vodka. That's literally all.
Is it really? Okay.
But like I go to a karaoke group fairly regularly, and it's one of these like dive type bars where their drinks are way too strong, like way too strong. And so I got one, and they didn't put any cherries in it, and I went and stood at the bar. I'm like, please, sir, may I have some? I'm like, I need cherries. Like, come on, I'm not drinking this, but I want the cherries. There's a moment in that, though, after she gets the Dirty Shirley, and I love it, that she gets drunk because she only eats the cherries. And then she's like, oh, vodka's terrible. I'm not drinking anymore. And she licks it. I'm never having this again. And she keeps drinking it more.
Yeah.
Like, I want to take that sound and be like, every single time I go out, I'm like, no, I'm done. I've had too much. Take another sip. No.
That's such a relatable first time with alcohol experience. It's like, this tastes terrible.
Yeah. And yet.
And
yet you're still there.
Persephone, I did not ask for a bowl because at this place that I usually go to, they would have, and it would have been like half the bottle of vodka. And that's just, it was too much. It's just too much. Yeah, they are good. But Matt Dittman has also said that he absolutely hates them.
Hates Dirty Shirley's?
He hates them.
I'm sure it's kind of like the pina colada guy that gets pina coladas sent to him all the time. So I'm sure that happens if Matt's in a bar somewhere. Send him a Dirty Shirley.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, and you know what? That's funny because then he makes that Bee's favorite drink.
But then it becomes Donut's favorite drink. And we love donuts. So, yeah. It reminds me of Arrested Development where they have to finish the vodka because the bottle was open. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that, right? The open mouth. Yeah, vodka, you don't have to drink the whole bottle. Please don't. Please, no one ever do that. Yeah, so those are really funny moments. I loved that with I don't like vodka and drinks more.
Yeah.
Vodka, it's in chapter 15, yeah. Vodka is gross. I'm definitely not drinking anymore. So another moment I liked within this section is with that thing where Carl is remembering Bea and her mom talking. He says, it's funny that a lot of people feel like they have to wear a mask even around family. And I could never understand that. And he's talking about that idea of masking. And this is something that comes up several more times in this series, with him saying, like, even around family, like, I just don't understand it. Why do people have to do that? And, Bea's right. Carl's just uncomplicated. He doesn't understand the idea of, like, having to mask around people that you love. And that's something that we're going to keep seeing. And I think that's another good thread to bring up throughout the series.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's another reason why Carl's not dad to Donut. Like I was saying, like, I think that's what he does. He lets everybody know you can just be real with me.
Yeah.
Because he's so real. He is just who he is. And that's probably what's comforting. It is comforting when she says it, but I mean, that's why Carl is that person who just accepts you, who you are.
Yeah. And you don't have to mask around.
Mm-hmm. Which is also a drug to a selfish, narcissistic, manipulative person. That kind of person is great to have around.
That's true.
You can really abuse them.
Yep. And she does, and she clearly does. When we find out that it's not just the Bahamas and the ex.
Yeah.
But does it count if it's a woman?
Yeah. I mean, she's a user, and that's exactly why she's ready to dump Donut too, after she's gotten her use out of her.
Yeah, and that did come up in the chat too, was, retiring a pet from show business doesn't mean getting rid of them. So, yeah, I know. I know. And I'm not trying to say that Bea's okay. I'm really not. I'm just saying.
You just wish she wasn't so one-dimensional.
Yeah, I just wish that she wasn't written that one-dimensional. I wish, we could almost choose to dislike her instead of just being told you have to dislike her. Yes, it counts as if it's a woman. Well, what about those videos you watch of the women cleaning themselves, cleaning each other?
That was another great line.
There are just... I love the little clips, like the Mama Needs a Night Off clips that have made it to TikTok and are just made as sounds, but there are so many. There are so many that really could. Any other thoughts? Anybody in chat have any thoughts about these chapters through 19? Next week, we're talking about chapters 20 through 25, but we're also talking about Pineapple Cabaret, because Pineapple Cabaret comes up in the end of each of these books. It's the extra chapter at the end. I've seen a lot of people talking about that recently, about the chapters and are they available anywhere. They aren't, except for the hardcover, but I'm also going to be talking about it next week on live, because we're...
Are they in the large print paperback ones?
Nope.
They're not? Oh.
Nope, it's not in the it's not in the Kickstarter version either. It's literally just the hardcover.
Interesting.
I
didn't know these had a large print version until I went to my bookstore one time and I saw it. I was like, why is this in a paperback? And oh. So I didn't look at it any further. I just saw it was large print. So that's not for me.
I mean, I haven't looked at them, but I thought that it was purely just this printing. Like it was exclusive to this printing of the hardcover printing.
Yeah.
That Ace is doing. I do see. Hold on, somebody. Graham, can we talk about Carl being a diplomat between Signet and Grimaldi? I actually really liked that scene, except for the puking up all of the worms. Again, going back to horror, that was disgusting. But him being that diplomat and going in between and talking about that they both clearly love each other, and Grimaldi talking about the importance of family, and that being such a theme for Carl, coming up with Donut being his family, and how much they would risk, everything else for each other. So it makes sense that Grimaldi and Signet would risk for each other because they loved each other. They were family, and they just, had a falling out. And Carl helped bring that, solve that very disgustingly with infecting himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot more, he rewrites that entire plan for the company.
The whole thing.
They were going to just do what TV shows do, and they go with the formula, and they rehash, and they make it gory, and they make it dramatic and stuff like that. And here comes Carl, and he puts some heart into it.
Yeah.
Which is what he's got to do in order to change this whole system.
Yeah.
And so that's another seed planted in a way, but he forces them to put some humanity in the situation, to insert some compassion, which is what this whole society needs.
Absolutely. And everybody who's following that story is going to see that. So that, which is cool that it's not just the people watching him live right then, but it's everybody who is following Signet's storyline is going to see, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Sometimes we can just say sorry.
Exactly.
And going back to Stranger Things in season 5, I'm not going to say anything else, but going in and Erica saying sorry. It's a good scene. So I see people talking about the extra chapters still too in the book, one way, another way, that I know I mentioned this, I think last week, but I'm going to keep on touting it. I convinced my public library to buy the entire series because of the extra chapter. And so I donated the first book and said, there is a chapter in these books that is literally the only place you can get it is this copy of the book. So I was never able to read it being audio. If you have Kindle, you can't get it. And so my very small public library got the entire series, partially because I said there is a real need. Even people who have already read it, even people who are fans, are still going to want to come and check it out because of the extra chapters. So most libraries on their website have a place where you can request materials and suggest what they should buy and add to their circulation. Which is what I did. Even though I worked a little bit for the library, I was still able to go and do the official channels and request it that way. But libraries buy things and add to their circulation. So that is an argument you can make for you really should, because the only way even people who've already read it can get that is through this copy. So talk to your libraries. Libraries are a great place.
They are. That's how I read the series the first time around. So
really, your library had the whole series?
Well, they were getting them in order. So I read 1 through 6 from my library, and then bought.
Oh, and then they waited until the hardcover, though.
I waited for the hardcover because I just was like, wasn't buying. I still don't own 4, 5, and 6. I plans after Christmas, if I don't get them, I'm going to Barnes and Noble and grabbing 4, 5, and 6. So, but yeah,
I feel really fortunate that I actually have the complete set now because of people on TikTok. Like, people on TikTok have sent, and
I want them. It's just not been a huge priority to get because I've already read them. So I'm buying things that I haven't read, but I got to have the shelf trophies. I'm tired of waiting. So,
Persephone, if we get permission, can we read the Pineapple Cabaret on Book Club next week? I will. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read what is important and say what happens in the whole thing. So, good night, Mike. Thanks. Nice to see you. Mike's like an IRL friend who I convinced to join TikTok just to come and check out this book club. So I am next week when we talk about Pineapple Cabaret along with chapters 20 through 25. I'm going to explain what happens for anybody that doesn't have it and read important parts of it. So that's the plan for next week. So, anything else you guys want to talk about?
It's pretty thoroughly talked about. I read so far past chapter 19. I can't even. I no longer know where I should stop anymore. So
yeah,
I just had to keep going.
So of the series, which book is your least favorite? Okay. Besides 3, I'm not going to accept that.
Not going to accept that? All right.
Of course I accept it. I just disagree. It shouldn't be. I understand why, though.
It's just because the tangle. I mean,
know.
if that thing at the beginning where he says you're not going to understand this level, don't try, it makes sense at the end. If he hadn't had that there, I wouldn't have cared. But because he made it a challenge for me to understand it, I have to understand it. So,
but
oppositional defiance a little bit there, Brett.
Huh?
Would you say you do not like book 3? Like, you don't like it? It's your least favorite, but you're going to say you don't like it?
No, it's just my least favorite. I still like it. There's parts of it in there I like, but it's just if I'm ranking them, that's always going to be my last one, just because. Right. Yeah.
And that's me too. I mean, it's not just the Iron Tangle. It's just that, I don't know. Just for some reason, plot-wise, I just enjoyed all the other books more. You know, but I still like it. But it would be my 7th ranked still.
So then where is 2? Is 2 sort of in the top half or bottom half?
It's still, re-listening to it, I'm finding more in it, so I would probably re-rank it a little bit. It's probably about 5, because I'd move Feral Gods in between there somewhere. It wasn't one of my favorites. 1, just because it sets up the world so much, is always just going to be, I know people rank it lower, but just because of how much it sets everything up, it's too important to rank it low for me.
I mean, my top 2 are Bedlam Bride and Butcher's Masquerade for me.
Yeah,
they're my top 2, which I think would put number 2 somewhere straight in the center for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think 2. It's between 2 and 4 for me that are in last place. But I know that like one of my first times through, I definitely put 2 in last. And then on a reread, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. There's actually a lot of really good stuff that happens in this. But I bet you anything, when I get to 4 and reread 4, I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to say, wait a minute, there's a lot of really good stuff in here. And
rereads are great for that reason.
So. They are. I am so glad that other people in the chat agree. I love 3. Mostly because so much happens. I feel like 3 is a pivotal moment. That 1 and 2 are so much fun. And 3 is when everything changes. That in book 3 is where the entire plot really starts. And it becomes this bigger, grander sort of political drama. Whereas books 1 and 2 were just a lot of fun. And I feel 3 is so important that it's one of my favorites. I mean, he gets the cookbook.
They're all important. I mean, and Katya gets so much development in number 3.
That Katya actually becomes a full character, even though we're about to meet her in the last chapters here. Katya is a full-on character and gets a lot of development. He gets a cookbook, which is, the thing that defines the rest of the series. And that doesn't even happen until book 3. And it is one of the most pivotal things that happens in the series. I just think 3, it changes tone in a way that I love. And
and I
Ren was saying something there about the Bedlam Bride not being her favorite just because of the game. I didn't really care for the game either in that one, but there was just so much pivotal side information, especially with no spoilers, but there's just so much pivotal information in there that impacted the story a lot more than the game itself. I think the game was just a side piece to the whole thing.
There's so much backstory in that.
Yeah, there's a lot, and 6 has by far the best epilogue in any of them.
Yeah. They're also important. Like, I mean, I couldn't live without a single one of these installments personally, and we are going to have different opinions because we're all looking for something different. We're all going to have a different experience. Things are going to resonate differently. So there's no universal truth when it comes to,
100%
these things. This is a good series. There's not a bad book.
There isn't. They're all 5 stars.
So, anyway.
Yeah. All right. So as we sign off, then, want to each tell us some. Like I already shared that one of my favorite books that I read this year was Service Model that I haven't seen anybody else talking about. Any other like really good books you think people should check out for 2026 that you don't see other people talking about? Lit RPG or non? Like Peter, I think you already said something about Sentence to Troll too, so that could be one, right?
Oh yeah, as far as another lit RPG, I mean, I've only read so far, and this is why Richie's going to get me involved in going through beginner lit RPG experience chronicling. I've only read Dungeon Crawler Carl, He Who Fights with Monsters, and now Sentenced to Troll. So I could read a lot more, but that was a lot of fun. And I guess I'll go with the book that I think I would recommend that everybody needs to read that no one talks about is still, well, it's two books. It's The Change and The Women of Wild Hill.
Is The Change the one that The Change is the one with the women, right? The one that I think I commented on your video. I was like, oh my God, nobody's talking about this and it's so good.
Yes. Yeah.
With the woman
and the women of...
And she throws the seeds, right? That's the one with the, like, she's planting.
Yes,
okay.
That's all the weeds. Yeah, and
it's so good.
And The Women of Wild Hill is essentially the sequel.
I didn't even know that there was a sequel. That The Change is so good. It's so good.
It is really good.
Oh, that's a good one to get.
I don't think I've read anything that's not super talked about. I mean, because I'm coming back into this reading journey, so I'm getting all my recs from Book Talk, and they're all like, "This is the most hyped book" or whatever.
Then what's something that's been hyped, but you think is worth the hype?
Right now, Stoner.
See, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, okay. Well, a lot of people have talked about this. It's the way I mentioned it to a couple of people that have read it already, and they agreed with my assessment of it. It's like an episode, or it's like Seinfeld. Seinfeld was the show about nothing.
Yeah.
There is nothing in this book. It's the life and death of like an English professor at the University of Missouri in the early 1900s. And it's just so mundane, but it's still so entertaining and just got some meat to it. So
okay,
I'm surprised y'all haven't heard of that. So yeah, no, Stoner is
nope.
It's one of those NYRB books. So
okay, who's the author?
I swear the things that we think are like super hyped, it's just like the
John
algorithm
Williams.
is telling us that it's hyped. It's not.
So yeah, no, that was the one that when I first started getting on here, that and Midnight Library was one. I'm sure everybody's heard of Midnight Library.
I didn't like Midnight Library.
Oh, see, I loved it.
I was the one that recommended it. I wanted to love it. I saw it on Book Talk. I got my book club to read it, and I ended up not liking it.
Well, that was me with Piranesi. Everybody loved Piranesi, and I
haven't read that yet.
Huh?
I haven't read Piranesi yet.
Oh.
You didn't like Piranesi?
Oh, no.
See, I won't go so far as saying I didn't like it. I'm just like, this is way overhyped.
That's how I feel. Like, the story made sense in the end, and I enjoyed the story. It was like, okay, I understand why people might like this, but to get to this point, I was like, I wanted DNF so bad. So, but yeah, it was not worth the hype.
Yeah. I don't think I would have finished it if I hadn't been listening. That's true for some books. And sometimes I'm glad, you know what I mean, that I powered through and finished it. But Piranesi I was definitely going for the first half. I was going, what did people... It's not
if it wasn't
written,
short and it wasn't like so talked about, like if it was another 100 pages, I would have DNF'd it but no, it was like everybody talks about like you get to like page 70 or page 80. I'm like, okay, there's only 160 pages in this book. I gotta read half the book to get to the meat. So.
Yeah, which does come up in books, but sometimes that meat is so good it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. There are times I'm like, I'm so glad.
It's I see Graham talking about Red Rising, which I finally read this year, and was almost disappointed that it is worth the hype. Like it was.
I've only read the first book.
I'm almost on book 2, but so I'm not very far, but it does take a little while. I think that is one you sort of have to get through some stuff in order to get to the meat. So stick with it. It is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to say goodnight to Run. Run was in the chat and helping moderate. Last week I had so many bots come. That was wonderful to see the number suddenly be like that 150 people were here. I'm sure 140 of them were not real people, but still. So Run, who has been a guest here, was helping moderate. So big thanks to Run. If there's nothing else, I think we should sign off and say happy holidays to everyone and hope everybody has just a beautiful holiday season. If it's Christmas, and good luck.
Winter solstice today, so happy solstice.
It is, and happy solstice. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Happy solstice, happy Yule, all that stuff. It's gonna be fun. And next week we finish book 2. So thank you, Peter. Thank you, Brett. It was lovely to have you both. I
Thank
hope
you for
that
having
you come
me.
back. I'm going to send you messages again. I'm trying to get like a schedule going and hope you both come back too.
Yep, I'll be glad to come back.
Awesome.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Have a happy holiday.